What's going on, guys? It's a bit of a late night stream here. Just want to pop on and do a weekly live stream here. We're not going to have a chance to do one tomorrow. We're expecting um, regional severe weather, but not here in Michigan, thankfully. So I want to do the weekly live stream tonight and just kind of post it again tomorrow evening when we usually do our weekly lives. So let's go ahead and dive into the upcoming week. Can you guys hear me okay? Let me know if you guys can hear me. I'll go ahead and continue on. I'm assuming you guys can. So first and foremost, the upcoming week is going to be interesting in terms of our weather. All right, thank you, Bias. Appreciate that. So we've been having a lot of discussion about snow potential. Could there be severe weather? Could there be flooding? Uh, and the answer to some of those is yes and no. We'll go ahead and dive in. So first and foremost, the current state of our pattern is extremely active. Luckily, this warm front that is triggering the activity is staying to our south. So any severe weather over the course of the next 3 days looks to stay to our south. We look at the SPC outlooks for Michigan. Only southern Michigan sneaking into any type of thunderstorm risk in lighter green colors. The marginal is just off to our south here in northern Indiana for tomorrow. And then as we get into Monday, that shifts a little bit further northward toward the border, but still roughly the same areas. But southern Michigan could see some general thunderstorms with that. And then on Tuesday, there currently is no thunderstorm risk there. So, as far as severe weather goes, we are not expecting any severe weather out of any of these systems, whether it's tomorrow, Monday, or Tuesday. But to our south, they're going to get hit pretty hard. Now, what I can say is we here in Michigan are going to be having to watch our precipitation extremely closely. What I mean by that is because that warm front is so close to Michigan, but not in Michigan, it does favor a pattern here for active rainfall. So, looking at the precipitation accumulation, basically this amount of precip, whether it's rain or snow, is going to fall through the end of the period here. We're seeing a good response of precipitation, in here into Michigan here, where we could see 2 to 3 plus inches of rain. Now, some of this is going to fall on Wednesday and Thursday, and we're going to have to watch that extremely closely because the models right now are showing snow. And I'll get into that here in a second. So we're going to go ahead and switch back over here to the temperature graph here, or the temperature model, should I say. I'll show you guys long-term temperatures. So this is Saturday. This is tonight. We're going to go ahead and jump into tomorrow morning. We're going to be probably high 40s, low 50s again tomorrow. The further north you go, the colder it is. The further south, obviously, it is warmer. And we see that warm air is sitting just off to our south here in central Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. But that is going to support probably low 50s for southern Michigan there for tomorrow. We go into Monday. That front doesn't really move much at all, although we're going to be a little bit colder, talking probably upper 30s, maybe low 40s for most of the state on Monday. And then Tuesday, that low pressure moves off and we get cold air behind the developing low pressure. And that's going to be for Wednesday. Now, that is going to be the day to watch in terms of snow potential. And I'll get into that here in just a second. Back into Thursday, though, we have another day here of cooler temperatures. Then we see warm air start building off to our west, and then that's going to move in again for Friday. We start seeing try to push further east into our state here, and by the weekend, next weekend, we're looking at a rebound into widespread warmth, and then the very long term is looking warm. After that, I don't see any significant cool downs coming. I got a hair in my mouth. That was got it. Sorry about that. That was awkward. Felt awkward. But after this Thursday, Friday, Saturday cool down, after that, I don't see any significant cold. Now, last Sunday, I hopped on here and I said winter is over, and I had to retract that just a bit because winter is indeed may not be over. So the big question is on the snow potential for Wednesday and Thursday. So let's dive into that. Right now, the GFS model is showing as that low pressure. Here's all the rain over the next couple of days here. We see it training over the exact same areas. That's going to give us our repeated rain potential here. But watch what happens as this low right here in Indiana develops as it moves east northeast. The backside of that low, as cold air fills in, it changes over to snow, and not just a quick hitting snow. It kind of stationary spins around here in Ontario over Detroit. And if that does happen, it's going to promote a longer duration snow event. So, what does that mean? At this point, we're at Saturday. If this model is still showing this into tomorrow night, into Monday morning, we're probably going to have to start talking about the possibility of accumulating snow here, not just for a few people in northern Michigan, but for the entire state here. We're going to be looking at potential for snow. How much snow? I'm not going to dive into that right now. Although I will, excuse me, although I will say it's not just going to be, 1 to 3 inches. It may be 4, 5 plus at this point. It's not looking like it's going to be, just a dusting, out of the, region. We're done with it. No, this is looking like a potential. I'm going to highlight that word potential for multiple inches of accumulation for almost a statewide area. So that's Wednesday into Thursday. We're watching that close, but we want to just wait until we get more, accuracy and consistency before we start introducing that possibility. Just keep that in mind that we do have snow potential for Wednesday and Thursday. So what comes after this week, though? The long-term temperature models here are warm. Much above average here on the GEFS, extended through the entire month of April, all the way into the early, not the early May, but all the way through the late April timeframe. I am not seeing any significant cool downs here after this one exception for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday area. But after that, we are probably going to be full blown into spring. I know I said it last week that we're done with winter, but I think after this system on Wednesday, I think we can start looking ahead to, repeatedly days in the 50s, 60s, and perhaps even 70s. So again, that's what the long term is looking like. But overall, that is what I got for you guys tonight. If you guys have questions, now it's time to ask them in chat. But otherwise, your 8 to 14 day outlook from the CPC is having most, if not all, of Michigan in a 90% contour for above average temperatures here. So almost a guaranteed lock into mid-April that we're going to be well above average. And as far as precipitation goes, we're going to be looking above average here as well. So what does that mean? It could mean possibility of thunderstorms, rain, maybe some severe weather here. I think it's a little too far out to say, but the overall pattern continues into April of warm and active. So we'll have to keep an eye on that pattern as we get into mid-April. But otherwise, that is all I got for you with tonight's weekly live stream here. I know this is usually done on Sundays, but I did want to hop on here and do it tonight just because myself personally, I'm planning on being on stream for a severe threat further south. So I won't be available, at least expecting not to be available tomorrow night. So I want to do this tonight, just make sure it's out of the way and not to worry about that tomorrow. So another week on the roller coaster. Indeed, Bob. Indeed. So other words, don't put the snow. Nope. No, Ashley, don't put the equipment away just yet. I got hair in my mouth. I have no idea how that got there. But yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, definitely could be using your snow equipment. No problem, Tanya. Yeah, Drew, I'm with you. I don't want the heat. I don't want 195. Like I don't want 95 to 100 degrees. I just want 70s at this point. Bring me some. What is this hair? Jeez. Bring me spring. I don't want winter. April 8th forecast yet. So Robert, about that. The long story that I'm going to try and shorten for you is long-term models are inaccurate. It's just a general pattern that we're going to be watching. Right now, I think that pattern is leaning toward cloudiness. However, there is one model that we are kind of watching. We call it the RDPS model. It more so handles cloud cover better than the GFS model, which is what we've kind of been using here. So the RDPS model is trending more so for clear skies right now, but the GFS is trending for cloudy. Personally, I'm leaning more toward a cloudy solution based on the pattern, but The RDPS does hold some weight here in the cloud cover discussion, so I don't think we can get a good handle on it. It's kind of 50-50 at this point. Um, if we knew about this, you'd see forecasts all over the place. So once we have a good handle on that, we'll let you guys know. But right now, we're still 9-10 days away from it, so I just don't think we can do that at this point. Yeah, Bob, I had to move the cat out of my kid's bed earlier, so that's probably where the cat hair is coming from. The cat thinks that the kid's bed is its home. So April Fools from Mother Nature, indeed, indeed. Um, it's not uncommon that we get snow into April here. I just with the pattern and everything, didn't really expect this to pop up like it did. Do we know snow totals could be Oakland County yet? I'm not gonna, get into detail with that just yet. Um, we'll probably start getting more specific, more than likely on Monday morning for you guys. Um, maybe tomorrow night at the earliest. But all I'm going to say at this point is that this model, GFS in particular, if it holds, we're not talking like 1 to 2. We're talking probably 4 or 5 plus um, for a wide area. Just because most of you guys, yeah, no problem, Kathy. Uh, yeah, Melody, probably Wednesday. Looking at the model here, we see snow be turned over to, or rain turn over to snow here by early Wednesday morning. So overnight Tuesday into Wednesday morning. And since most of you guys on here are just kind of lingering around here, after you've covered everything, I'll show you guys what this the 10-to-1 ratio here is. This is what the snowfall accumulation is showing right now. Again, this is just a model. Don't take it with a grain of salt here. But overall, I need to get on the total. Hold on. There we go. This model in particular is showing, anywhere from 3 inches in spots to 10 inches in spots. So overall, we're not going to get into detail with that, but it's not just going to be your typical dusting. A lot goes into forecasting this, like soil temperatures, stuff like that. It's a widespread area here, so I'm just not gonna, I don't want to get into this too deep until we have a better idea of what to expect. This is just like raw data, which I really don't want to show you guys. But because you guys are, the ones who stick around, the most loyal followers, I'll give it to you guys for tonight. So, and I could extend this even further out into Wednesday. You guys just gonna see these high totals here. We're talking, 10. This is showing 15 in some spots. Like I don't think that's gonna happen. That's where interpretation and knowledge of raw model data comes into play here. I think it'd be more so speaking like 4 or 5 plus at this point. But we'll have that locked down for you probably Monday morning at the latest. Hadley probably into Thursday night. We could see some lake effect enhancement there as winds shift more northwesterly as that low moves off to the northeast. But this is going to be synoptic snow, as we call it, with a low pressure system. Going back here, I can show you. You can see this, the sun of the low and everything. I think you probably see the lake effect after it too. But there's your low pressure moving up right there, changes to snow. And as that low sits and spins, and there comes your winds out of the northwest. So Thursday afternoon to evening, there's your lake effect still on the backside. So the initial hit is from a system, and the backside would be lake effect. That's a weird question, Tanya. Tanya asks, how does the cap play into severe weather? The cap is basically the analogy that I use is basically you're boiling a pot of noodles on your stove, and it starts to boil over. So you put a lid on it. The lid is the cap, basically. Updrafts in the atmosphere hit that cap, and they either break it or they don't. So if the cap is strong enough for the storms not to break it, at that point it either limits or prevents weather from happening in general. Sometimes it's a weak cap; storms can break through it. Sometimes the cap erodes as we get into nighttime because when we get into cooler temperatures, they can help break the cap as well. A lot goes into cap and stuff like that. So that was a random question there. How's weather for the 8th looking? I just talked about that, Stephen. At this point, it's 50-50. The GFS model is showing clouds, but we have one model that we kind of look more so toward cloud cover. We call it the RDPS model. That's showing more so potential for clear skies. But being 10 days away from this, I think it's just too far out to say specific. Yeah, Hadley, if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen on Wednesday or Thursday. The snow, if this continues to show, this model, should I say, verifies, we'll be looking at probably multiple snow days in the state, probably widespread. Unfortunately, Jenny, it is not an April Fool's joke. Um, we're not going to play April Fools on you here at MSC. We're just not like that. I probably meant that in a joking way, but no, there's a lot of people asking that question. This is not an April Fool's joke. Again, there's some things that could change here. We'll have to keep an eye on that, carefully. But for right now, this has been trending for this, I think, the third or fourth day that we've seen repeatedly this model spitting out accumulating snowfall for most of the state here. Let's go to the European here. Look at the Euro really quickly here. The European is I've been more so leaning toward the GFS model, and this European model is much more subtle. It does show a pretty widespread area of 2 to 4 here, but also the European at mid range like this has been pretty bad this winter. So personally, I'm not really leaning heavily into the European model. I personally trust the GFS at this range. Usually, the European kind of caves back to what the GFS shows. So. Um, we're more so speaking on the GFS model, or at least using it for a baseline forecast. Jazz, when the cap breaks, you don't notice anything on the ground. Um, you have to have knowledge of like reading skew T charts, and um, there's a lot of atmospheric phenomena that you have to watch for on real time data to get an idea if the cap is going to break. One thing that we can kind of point to is what we call convective inhibition. We call it CIN, CIN. We have real time. We have a web page we go to. We call it mesoanalysis. So that'll tell us how much CIN we have in the atmosphere, and the less we have, the better. Uh, the more we have, the worse off the cap is. So when we start to see the CIN go down, that's when we kind of know our cap is breaking. But there's other ways we have knowledge of that. But you won't notice anything on the ground. You're not going to see anything. Um, you're not going to feel or notice anything. So the next couple of days, Kayla, it's going to be rain. And then Wednesday, Thursday is a period of time we're watching for potential snow. Did I miss your question, Bob? If I did, I apologize. I don't see a question from you. Any other questions, guys? It wouldn't be Michigan if we weren't talking about snow in April here. So I am not shocked. I just expected, being the pattern that we've been in is warm and, just not winter like. I didn't really expect this to happen. Bethel, I apologize. Let me see if I can go back up here. Manistee, snow totals. I'm not going to get specific with snow totals here. I'm just going to say statewide accumulations are possible in excess of, we'll say, 4 or 5 inches at this point. Other than that, I'm just going to highlight that word potential because that's what it is at this point. We're going to wait a few more days so we have more data. We can actually get the system onshore sampled, so on and so forth. I think the system is actually onshore already. It's just a stationary system, if I'm not mistaken. But the closer we get to the forecast period, the more confidence we're going to have with this. This is still, what is today? Saturday. So we have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We have 4 or 5 days left to go. When is all the great overcast going to break? Well, actually, if we look at long term, long term as in after this upcoming week into next weekend, we see a significant warm up and that looks to stay. So I'm going to expect sunshine to be with that warm up here. This is Sunday, the first day of widespread warmth here. This is April 7th. And then after that, it's just pure warmth. Another day in the 60s, another day in this. Oh, this is a day in the 70s here. The long term is promising for spring and maybe even some summer like temperatures getting thrown in there. We might see our first 80 here in the mid-April, and I think that correlates well here to the the CPC outlook, which shows Michigan up in the 90% ish range for above average temperatures. So I think that we are going to be. This is the last. I said it last week. I shouldn't have. I apologize. I didn't. Obviously didn't have the data at hand to know about this upcoming potential snow. But I think after this week, we are going to be looking at a pretty good introduction here to spring um, after April 7th. So, okay, bedtime, sunrise service. All right, Bob, thanks for watching. Last winter was our first winter here in Michigan. I'm seriously done with the cold. Yeah, Liz, this winter, though, honestly, for Michigan standards, has been pretty mild. We're used to a lot worse here. So as you just moved here, I don't think you've really seen a harsh winter, so to speak. Um, this has been one of the, I think it's actually one of the warmest, if not the warmest winter on record here in Michigan. Either the first or second. Any other questions before I hop off? So just want to say thank you guys for hopping on here. I know this is a day early, but expecting to be pretty busy tomorrow with regional severe weather. Not here in Michigan, but we do stream for out of states when there's nothing is happening here in Michigan. So uh, tomorrow evening will probably be busy for us, or at least for me personally. So I won't have time to hop on here. So I did it tonight, and I'll just go ahead and repost this link tomorrow at 7. So you guys who did not be able to see this will be able to watch that again tomorrow evening. So with that being said, I'm going to hop off here. I don't see any more comments or questions. So thanks, guys, for watching. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.